Well, Martin, welcome to the show. Let's just dive right in, if that's okay with you. Let me ask you this. Um, how did you get started in the industry? What was your beginning?
Well, my first gigs were just playing the local club scene with a cat, that I was introduced to by a couple friends um, in
Local club scene where?
in San Diego, local
Okay,
club scene down there,
okay.
um, 1990,
Oh, wow, back in the day.
back in the
So
day.
you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran, as you can tell.
Okay. Where are you from originally, though?
Well, it's another one of those little bit longer question. I'm an army brat,
Okay,
and so I was born in Germany. Yet by the time I was about a year and a half old, I moved to Fort Knox, Kentucky. Stayed there for about a year and a half. Moved back to Germany. I spent probably 14 or 15 of my first 18 years in Germany.
okay.
And
14 or
then
15 of your first years were in Germany. What part of Germany was that?
a lot in southern Germany, in the Stuttgart area.
Okay.
People, it's pretty close to the Rhine, in the Rhine River Valley.
Uh-huh.
Close to France, close enough.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you did you get the idea, the inkling of music there, or did it happen when you got to the States?
Probably there, but just simply because it probably would have happened wherever, because my dad played
Really?
and all my uncles play.
Okay.
None of them professionally, but I can remember being 5, going to my dad's like band rehearsals and just being blown away.
Hmm.
Watching the band. I had to probably just sit somewhere, just watching rehearsal.
Uh-huh.
In 1971, that might be.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, hey, that's all good. I mean, we all have a history, and I think a lot of the generation today can appreciate the lineage of where they got ideas, because everybody got them from somewhere, and then we have to sort of, as a DJ, say we got to dig in the crates, right?
digging the crates, and I think too, like when my uncles play, probably 6 or 7 of them. Some of them they play multiple instruments: bass, drums, horns, keyboards. Thing is too, I think historically people entertain themselves more, so there's a lot more ability in generations past
Uh-huh.
that it's more normal that people played, I think.
Okay.
But
Okay. Gotcha. So Germany to the United States, Army brat, did a lot of traveling. And did you go immediately from Germany to the Southern California area, or were there other stops in the country first?
yeah, so I graduated high school um, in Germany in 1984 and came straight to California.
Okay,
Um, you know, took a long plane ride
okay,
from, and ended up in San Diego, where I stayed for 20 years.
okay. What was your first instrument?
Bass guitar.
Okay, started with bass, and then you made a segue, as most people know. You switched to guitar.
Yeah, I switched to
At
guitar.
what point did you switch, and what prompted that?
Um, so just a quick history. I played a little bit of guitar when I first started. After about a year, I did switch to bass, and then I played drums about a year after that. That was from like 10 to 12 ish. Played drums also in school for about 4 or 5 years, so I'm schooled in that.
Uh huh.
And then I switched to guitar. I started playing guitar at 27.
Okay. All right. A
Um,
late bloomer on the
Late
guitar.
bloomer on the guitar, and I was already a professional musician at that time for a few years. Um, but
But what actually prompted you like to go to guitar, and why?
why?
Why the guitar?
Because I really had. I think the prompt was I was seeing something on the horizon. A lot of the people I backed up, I thought maybe I could do that as well.
Hmm.
Also, we had a pastime of watching Laker games, and I didn't like to just sit and watch. So I started doing a thing of playing, always just playing. And you can't really hear bass very well, so I started playing electric guitar unplugged a lot.
Okay.
And it took about 7 years or so before I was doing my first pro gigs
Hmm.
on guitar.
Okay.
Pretty much in the San Diego scene, same circuit, same stuff. But somehow I just transitioned to I had a rhythm guitar gig with these cats called Martha's Kitchen.
Martha's Kitchen.
Martha's Kitchen.
All right. Are they still around?
Some of the guys are. They were players with like Bill McGee's bass player, Mike Sandalwood Jones, and then the drummer, Anthony A. Train Quinley, played with Ravi Shankar, great drummer out of New York.
Ravi Shankar, it's the musician from India, right?
Yes.
Plays the sitar or tabla.
Yes, and you know, when I say that, I have to say that it's actually his daughter. It's actually Nora Jones.
Nora Jones is Ravi's daughter.
And then
Is
there's
that?
one other one. Come on. I think she goes by Shankar. What's her
Okay.
name?
Okay.
Anyways, he played with her. Great jazz drummer, jazz cat from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then the band leader Jerry Hot Rod DeMink, and we cut a CD in around 2001
Okay.
ish. But
Okay.
yeah,
All
that was
right.
my first guitar gig with those guys.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a great place to start.
We were all sidemen for other bands, and it just came together as something that was happening. You know, in the moment we all knew each other, and oh, play a few shows, and you know, kind of snowballed into something. We actually even got nominated for Best New Blues Band in that year, and you know, so it was a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Why blues?
You know, I think as I was a rocker really young, the first stuff I played was blues that my dad showed me. And when I started rediscovered blues, probably when I was 20, I found the musical freedom in it. The freedom is to not have to play the stuff like the record, which a lot of music, you're sort of judged by the ability to play a lot of note for note. No matter what instrument you play, it's got to be pretty close to the vest for fans to leave the concert and go, that was a good show. Especially in rock music, which I listen to a lot, but now as I've grown older, I see like other forms of music as well. It's a little more strict. And the thing that I saw about blues was that the fans and everyone went to see the artists to get the different variations, the different interpretations. Some people would follow the artists around to see every show because every show was going to be different.
Okay.
And that was the important, to see that be celebrated rather than to be hammered down into, you need to be a good live drum machine. It was very inspiring to, you know, to see that that was what people wanted from you.
Gotcha.
As a player.
Sure.
So, and as an artist.
Sure. Now, historically, you know, it's on record. You've won a few awards in the blues area. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
Well, just local stuff, San Diego stuff, going back to like, you know, 1992 with the guy who broke in, Willie J, the Texas Hurricane.
Okay.
And that was cool days. We were being like bankrolled and managed by Connie Nelson, Willie Nelson's first ex-wife. And we were recording an album that never made it out, which was being produced by Wayne Tweed, who worked with, as one of James Brown's bass players.
Okay.
And then in 2000, I won a blues award with Chill Boy and the Firebirds.
Okay.
God rest his soul. Chill just passed away a couple weeks ago.
He did. So. The late great Chill Boy, and I think you and I both had an association with Chill. I had a chance to do something with him, probably December, I think, December or January, somewhere, maybe even November. But yeah, that was sad. But you know, I definitely respect the tribute that artists have sort of poured out in his area. Okay, so the local thing, you've worked with some national acts, and you know, like many people, myself included, have basically tapped into the strategic fit of doing a regional sort of gig. You know, we're seeing that so much in Las Vegas. A lot of, you know, A players are having their residencies. I've had residencies, you know, different locations. You've had them. I've been able to work with you on a few things. But you were a top draw at Pints and Quarts.
Yes.
Before the pandemic. And then actually before the pandemic, you know, you weren't there. What happened? Tell us about that.
That I wasn't there before the pandemic.
Correct.
Well, you know, I think it was a situation where the owners, as nice as they were, maybe weren't quite as experienced in the whole music business. There's a lot going on with that, with running a club. And somehow I think that they were maybe advised that, you know, they could restrict players or bands from playing local areas or clubs within a certain proximity. And I didn't agree with that. I advised against it. As I knew the owner well enough to speak freely like that. And then I actually took a local gig, just a last minute call out of the blue, where it's like if your phone rings, you're pretty much going to take the work. Why wouldn't you? And then right after that, I was received a call notice that I was also no longer going to be playing at Pints and Quarts. So very unfortunate, but you know.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Make sure I understand for our viewers. You were a top draw at one of the hottest regionally anyway venues, for pretty much all styles of music. And then because you took a gig somewhere else, then you were not there.
That's pretty much what it came down to. And another artist was similarly punished. And I was actually scheduled to take that artist's place. They played jazz on Sundays. I don't want to say who it was, but
Okay.
yeah, I was actually in negotiations waiting to hear. And you know what? Sometimes things don't dawn on you.
Yeah,
Man, maybe like 2 years, 'cause it's been like a couple of years,
it's been a few years. Yeah.
right? Something flashed in my brain, man. I'm standing in my kitchen one morning making coffee or whatever it was, and I flashed back to the message I got from the owner of Pints and Quarts. And it was after the first night of the shows I'd done, which
Hmm.
literally were like Labor Day weekend, and they'd called me like a day and a half before they wanted me to play. So it wasn't some big diabolical plan. But I did the first show, and they ended up calling me about an hour after the Pints and Quarts owner texted me, asked me to play a second show, which was good. But the message simply said, "So you took the bait." I didn't get it for a minute because it was just another jab, because that place is associated with bait and fishing and you know
Right, right.
and so I didn't get that that was like a so you took the bait, you know.
Sure. Well, okay. So I think it's interesting that the mindset, but we don't really know all the pressures, in the defense of people that are owners of venues. We don't know all their pressures financially or socially or anything else. And I guess in their mind, if they haven't had, many, many, many years of running a venue, they may have some success for a short term, but if they don't have many, many years in the game, perhaps they don't realize that, well, okay, this venue, wherever it is, it may not be New York City. But at the same time, if you're in New York City, or if you're in Las Vegas, or if you were in Hollywood, or if you're in Chicago, if you make your living doing music, you might work at one venue on the same block and then the next night somewhere else. And
Exactly.
if you have a crowd for your venue per se, it's not going to cannibalize, or it's not going to keep the artist from making a living. And maybe they don't understand that. I mean, would
I
you
think
agree? Or
I agree with you, Dante. That back in the old days, I was thinking about in San Diego in the Gas Lamp. We used to play actually like about 3 or 4 clubs right there on Fourth or Fifth and F. I used to play like the Croce's venue, John Martin's. Also, what was the other one? There was like the Top Hat there too, and there's Patrick's right there in
Mhm.
between. Then across the street, there was a place called Bodie's. We would play there. So we would play there like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes, and Thursday, right?
Mhm.
No one complained. No one actually cared. It wasn't even on, it was maybe because this was like in the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't any, I don't think there was even any thought process from those club owners too much about, you know, and I think it actually helps, bring clientele around. Maybe they'll follow you, your fans will, from one venue to another, and then they'll experience something new. And, I just think it helps,
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's all before the pandemic. All right. So here we are, and we're at the point now to where we're sort of moving out of it. There's been a couple of false alarms, like, is this over? Are we peaking? Are we hitting a valley? It's been up and down, but we are 2022. This is March 1st, and we're sort of, turning the page for now. For now. What has the pandemic been like for you? How has it affected you? How's it affected your brand and your business and everything else?
well, I think it's been a big shift for me. I think it's affected me from, not being able to play all the shows that I was used to doing, which was, obviously financially, that's not the best thing for working musicians. Um, So in that, affected me there. It also, though, has forced me to focus on recording